Hi, I'm John McGuire from Duke Energy, and I lead our XRLab. The XRLab is our internal virtual and augmented reality development team, and that's part of our digital transformation organization within IT. I'm pleased to have the opportunity to share what we've accomplished and learned with you again at this year's EWTS virtually. Though it's going to be great to be able to catch up with all of you again. It seems like it's been 2 years since we were meeting in Dallas, and there's a lot of new people that have connected up in that time that we haven't gotten to meet in person. So, hopefully we'll get to do that in some of the conference chats, and maybe we'll get to meet in person at next year's event. I'm happy to report that we've had an extraordinary year of changes, advancements, technology adoption, and quite a bit of recognition for our accomplishments. I'll share some of those with you, and then we'll focus on one of the keys to success that we've found, measurements and metrics, that we use to validate the value of our solutions and drive ongoing funding for our projects. I hope that these are valuable to you, and I'll be happy to discuss how we handle any of these. Duke reorganized a lot in 2021. Not only did we move around a majority of our executive roles in the company, but we also reorganized IT. So this has maintained our top-level support for our adoption of XR and other leading technologies from the business, but it's put digital transformation organization in the lead for IT, interfacing with our businesses and all of those customers to open up all the modern and cutting-edge technologies that we can offer to solve our most difficult business problems. We're prying most things out of the data centers, and we're taking advantage of all the benefits of current cloud hosting and continue to push to improve our customer experience when they interact with our people and our systems. Pandemic mitigation has changed the way we work permanently. The vast majority of employees, when they return to the office in a few weeks, will return as hybrid workers rather than full-time office workers, working in the office 1 to 3 days a week. This has allowed us to roll forward by years real estate savings planned in conjunction with our new corporate headquarters under construction in Charlotte. The XRLab and a few other organizations will remain full-time remote workers. All of this, as you can imagine, has had an enormous impact on how we do training, evaluation and qualification, inspections, and even meetings. I'm sure this is true for you too. Our business units are adopting AR technologies like Microsoft Teams, running on RealWear headsets to conduct station walkdowns, remote inspections, remote training, and evaluation of techs, while we minimize the travel and maximize social distancing. These are not new technologies, of course. You've all seen them here at EWTS and seen the value proposition for years, but the pandemic's provided a push needed to gain attention from the business to start realizing some of the incredible cost savings and efficiencies such a business capability can provide. These capabilities have been piloted across most of our business units this year and are now in production at our unregulated renewables organization. Techs working on our wind turbines, solar farms, or substations that link them to the grid, they can now ask for remote assistance from experts off-site, be qualified for tasks over a Teams meeting, and share inspection observations in real time with remote teammates to gather feedback and guide the inspection process. In the last year, one of our XRLab products, a natural gas pipeline right-of-way inspection solution, went into production and is now a required practical test of knowledge for every one of our techs to complete before they can successfully requalify. This has helped meet a regulatory requirement for better validation of our tech's knowledge, and will provide a safety improvement to the public, assuring that potential pipeline problems are identified and rectified before they can become a crisis. I'm very proud that our team of natural gas evaluators and XRLab developers shared an internal prize, the James B. Duke Award, presented last month for this effort. We've also added 4 more training simulations for our natural gas organization in the past year, Piedmont Natural Gas. Joining plastic pipe with a mechanical fitting, suburban leak survey, finding where gas may be leaking on a cul-de-sac, repairing gas leak, which is quite a long and labor-intensive task with a lot of risk and commensurate safety precautions to reinforce, and updated our gas purging into out of service into our new solution template. Developing a common template we now use across all our solutions may be our biggest accomplishment. This gives trainees and qualifiers a consistent look, feel, control set, and overall experience from one task to the next, even across skill sets to assure ease of use for new VR users. We have field work space, classroom environment with whiteboard and video playback. We have a virtual lab, and we have models that they can work with, all built inside virtual reality, running on an Oculus Quest standalone headset. We recently delivered a complete qualification environment to our unregulated renewables organization for their first level technical skill sets. Pandemic mitigation has stranded a number of our mobile field techs with a requalification requirement that expires at the end of the year, while we still have travel bans and other mitigation requirements in place. Using this new simulation, casting to a remote evaluator, all these techs will be reevaluated and requalified by year's end in this new application, where it just wouldn't have been possible to accomplish in the time provided, even if we could do it face-to-face. We're fortunate to have a roadmap of funded projects ahead of us to continue developing training features into that first level qualification tool, and then build out a qualification and training environment for their second level of technical skill set. We are also continuing to build out natural gas simulations, such as the new urban leak survey environment. And we're planning a series of features to be added to a basic tablet-based augmented reality tool that we built for our distribution organization to work with our customers to move electrical service underground and place pad-mounted transformers into their backyard landscape. We've been honored in the past year to have a case study published by Oculus for use of their headsets and management tools in our enterprise. Our own corporate communications organization filmed and published a feature on how our team is improving the safety of our workers and customers through virtual reality training and qualification development. And our CIO, Bonnie Titone, outlined our work as an example of how Duke is leveraging emerging technologies to better serve the business at a Forbes CIO forum, and that generated press coverage. We were featured last month in an international VR publication for our accomplishments over the last 2 years and successfully providing VR solutions in the enterprise. Best of all, Virtual Crew, our new externally facing brand. This year we gained approval to fund our development from an unregulated part of our business and team up with Industrial Training Services, a major natural gas and utility training and qualification provider, to resell our solutions and capabilities to companies like yours. This makes us the first of our Duke Energy digital transformation teams to successfully commercialize our products and services to generate revenue for Duke Energy rather than being a cost center. This is part of Duke's strategy for transforming from a stodgy old utility to a technology company. You can find more information about Virtual Crew at virtualcrew.io. If you can't tell, I just couldn't be more proud of our team and what they've accomplished. The factors of our success haven't really changed over the time that I've been in this role. We've always known that tightly integrating SMEs into our development team of artists and programmers gave us huge advantages over trying to work with outside development companies. Management support, both financially and from a business advancement perspective, has also been key. And hiring the right people, maintaining our amazing team dynamic is also a must-have. None of these are possible, though, without showing proof. You've probably heard the quote, "If it didn't measure, it didn't happen." I think I saw that on a meme on Facebook attributed to Abraham Lincoln or something. Nothing could be more true when you're struggling to help others see the vision of benefits and emerging technologies and capabilities can provide to your organization. So this year I wanted to share with you our initial and planned efforts around gathering metrics to show success for our completed projects and to gain financial and operational support for continuing to develop more. I'll tell you that I'm confident we are early in our development of these metrics, but everyone has to start somewhere. So hopefully you'll gain some insight from our approach and start to see some of the successes that we've built happening in your efforts. First, we borrowed data from other sources. For example, a PwC report. Last year, PwC was kind enough to create a lot of research about VR training, and we found just referencing good data from a relatively reliable source really helps tell our story. For example, they found that VR learners were 4 times faster to train than peers sitting in a classroom. They were 275% more confident applying the skills they learned, nearly 4 times as emotionally connected to the content, which drives retention, and 4 times more focused than CBT e-learning peers. I mean, they're literally wearing blinders and only seeing and hearing what you want them to in VR, right? These things seem self-evident, but to those unfamiliar or often distrustful of these technologies, having this information makes a lot of difference to them. We collected our own data too. Kenny Reynolds, one of our first customers from our natural gas business unit, initially wanted to know just the most basic information about the user's experience.
Hello, this is Kenny Reynolds, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the data collection that we employed with the VR project at Duke Energy. You know, when we first started developing our VR training simulations, we quickly recognized the value of being able to capture and measure our technicians' reaction to this new training tool. Much like you would really employ a level 1 survey in any training course, So what we did is we came up with 5 different statements that we wanted to capture their reaction to. The first one was we wanted to know if they actually performed purging as part of their role in the natural gas business unit. This first simulation was purging with direct displacement. We really wanted to know, did they actually perform that in real reality? Number 2, we wanted to find out if they had ever been in virtual reality. Had they had a headset on? Were they gamers, or was this new technology to them? Number 3, we wanted to find out if they thought the simulation was realistic. Did it really mirror the task that they might perform in real reality? Number 4, we wanted to know a little bit about how easy it was to use the headsets and controllers. Did they find them easy to use, or did they get in the way? And probably the most important question or statement we asked them to react to was, I would recommend VR, this training simulation, this VR solution to my peers. We thought it was really important to know if our technicians not only enjoyed it or had used it, but would they recommend it? So what did we find? Well, not surprisingly, over 95% of our technicians indicated they had never used VR. They really were not gamers. We found that out pretty quickly. But even still, over 74% of them indicated that they found the solution to be realistic, and most importantly, that they would recommend it to their peers. So this was incredible information for us to hear, and it really provided the motivation for us to look for and develop additional VR training simulations at Duke Energy. In addition, it allowed us to tell a different story about VR. Initially, our performance evaluators and our technical trainers had been skeptical, but once they saw and they heard this kind of feedback from technicians, we realized that it really was a viable solution for us to perform and provide training practice in virtual reality.
Most of our natural gas solutions have been built under our Lighthouse Initiative. This is a collaboration between the various business units and IT to highlight and find or develop technologies that solve some of our biggest problems. Akima McRae handled development and collection of the required ADKAR-based evaluation metrics from those who've completed one of our Lighthouse-funded solutions. I think I mentioned before in this forum how surprised I was by the adoption results, but here's some of the detailed information in the results from Kenny and Okima.
We really have had extremely strong user acceptance scores, which is outstanding. Another thing we were able to measure and capture and look at was really the amount of time it takes to perform a task using virtual reality or to practice that task versus practicing that task in real reality. So when you think about how long it takes a trainer to set up for a practice session, for the technicians to go through practice sessions one by one, it takes a considerable amount of time in real reality. We actually found that it was 4 times faster to teach someone to perform a task and allow them to practice that in virtual reality versus in a classroom or a normal practice training session. This really translates into real dollars because when you look at the amount of time that we save per technician, probably about 3 hours per training session just in time using VR, and multiply that times the average hourly wage of a technician, it's real dollars. So we were really saving money. In addition, we were able to capture and show that we were saving some travel costs simply because you can take the headset to a location that's close to where a group of technicians live and or work out of, and they can come to that location and practice without incurring additional extensive travel costs. So in addition, you have to think about some of the other savings, safety, for example. The fact that they can practice a task in any weather, in any location, without having to wear heavy PPE. Really, virtual reality has proven to be quite a beneficial way to train our technicians.
These Lighthouse-funded projects were built using a fairly regimented schedule and metered funding. Each round of funding was tied to specific goals for the project, and our team had 8 weeks, generally 4 sprints in our Agile implementation, to complete those goals and show financial gain to be had from the development. Executive approval of our next round of funding was based on our success completing the previous round and meeting those operational and financial targets. Here's Kenny again to talk about what those metrics were that we settled on and how we continue to justify our funding and development.
Thank you, John. Our journey, our virtual reality journey, started as part of Duke Energy's Center of Innovation and Digital Transformation called Lighthouse. Now, in order for us to obtain funding, we had to prepare a document that included the project goals, the expected cost, the expected return, and also defined a period for achieving those results. This metered time frame, if you want to call it that, was typically 12 weeks. Now, we were required to prepare our document and then meet with senior executives of both Lighthouse and the Natural Gas Business Unit to basically present our case and request funding. This was understandably somewhat difficult, or maybe not difficult, but at least challenging at the time. The great thing is it provided accountability to our team to deliver on our project goals, and most importantly, to stay on the time frame, because every 6 weeks or 6 to 12 weeks we would come back and meet with those executives again and give an update on our progress and our results. And as you can imagine, this sometimes led to some pretty pointed questions from senior executives, and understandably so, because they were providing the funding for our project and our associates that were working on that. You know, fortunately, as you've heard in the discussion already, we had some great results from our virtual reality training, and we were able to recognize our expected goals. Consequently, we were able to continue to receive funding for our virtual reality projects, and were able to complete additional simulations. Thank you.
We've used different methods to collect measurements. Paper questionnaires are relatively easy to use with trainees following their VR experience, but manually intensive to enter into a database and to capture analytics from. Entry in a headset as part of the application is more direct, and it's easily added to a database with other results through APIs and other methods. But the VR keyboard user interface makes capturing free-form text information difficult. Microsoft Forms or other web-based solutions running on a table is kind of a happy compromise between the two, but still requires an additional device and programming another interface. Emailing a questionnaire to people who've completed an experience returned the least consistent responses. Only about 30% or so came back out of those requests. We've received great anecdotal feedback from our trainers and evaluators who run people through our simulations, and that's valuable to share, but it's really not quantifiable. We're looking forward to using the recent introduction of keyboard tracking in the Oculus Quest to better capture free-form data, and trying to capture all that we need in our next round of metrics in the VR application. This gives us automatic entry into our back-end database, but I expect we'll still be utilizing some electronic or paper forms for some of it over the next year. We think this is best and gives us a real-time dashboard of how our apps are being used and being accepted for immediate feedback to our development process. We built our simulations in Unreal Engine using the SDK from Oculus Quest, freestanding headsets, which gives us all the ability to log a wide range of technical data to our backend database. This is all related to the user's experience on our application. We test graphics and processor performance as part of play testing our solutions, and anywhere we find our graphics are too intensive to maintain a 72 frame a second refresh rate, we go back and edit the scene to bring that back up. Those metrics help ensure the majority of users do not experience the motion sickness that's plagued VR up to this point. We want to know whether they have any user interface or design problems that can be rectified to increase immersion and remove impediments from completing our VR training and qualification experience. We're most interested in tracking how long users take to complete various tasks to see where that falls to line up against trainer and evaluator expectations. If we find many users fail to notice a cue guiding them what to do next or seem unable to use a tool effectively, our design team can take a look at that trouble spot with our SMEs, maybe go back and question some of those users having trouble in order to learn how we can make the simulations function better for them. Collected data can then be associated with the employee ID of the person in the simulation to track their individual performance across different simulations and then to compare them against the others. We're also discussing ways to allow testers and SMEs to log problem tickets back to the Jira queue directly from the application for investigation and correction. Our relationship with ITS, who's reselling our application to their customers, requires that we interface with their onboard learning management system. Our design will show users what courses or qualifications are due in their next level chooser that they see in their VR application. And as they complete experiences, we'll log that information back to our backend database. The data transfer will notify the onboard system, as well as Duke's LMS by Cornerstone, of any training or qualification completed in conjunction with the trainer and the evaluator's web and mobile application interface to those same LMS systems. As the new normal is solidified and we've plotted our course around data collection and tracking, we're just this week developing the hooks into our application to log the new metrics we want to capture. As I mentioned before, we have a number of candidates backed up for requalification and training. In our next round, we're collecting the user's employee ID number as before, all that timing information from the start and completion of each task in each simulation run, module name, build number, completion status, and we're continuing some of the first survey questions. How often do you use VR? How often do you perform the tasks that you just performed during your day-to-day job? Do you feel that the simulation helps you do your day-to-day job better, more efficiently, more safely? And most importantly, would you recommend this VR experience to your coworkers? After all, when you're getting good results, why complicate things by changing the questions you're asking, right? We hope to have more results and more advanced metrics to find when we talk to you next year, but we'd love to hear what measurements you're collecting to support projects in your company. What are we missing that we really should add? Speaking at the Q&A, you can fill us in or you can contact us through the conference chat system or contact us at virtualcrew.io. We've been thrilled to contribute to EWTS again this year. What a ride it's been adapting these technologies to gain enterprise value, and what amazing people to work with getting it there. I hope you have the chance to meet our whole staff sometime and get to know the brilliant people that I get to work with every day. Hopefully, maybe next year, we'll get to see each other face to face again. But until then, you can find us here through the EWTS communication channels. And be sure to check out our virtualcrew.io site for more information about our solutions, our awards, some fantastic press, pat on the back, and contact info. Thanks a lot. Talk to you in the Q&A.